Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Not Another Crime Podcast.
I am Georgia Love.
I am Sammy Peterson.
I'm a journalist.
I am not.
But I'm not a comedian and you are.
Thank you for saying that. How are you today, Georgia Love? You've had a big week.
I've had a really big week.
Very big week.
Yeah, are we going to get straight into it?
Let's get straight into it. Yeah, what have you been up to?
Well, I mentioned in the last episode with the wonderful Dave Warnicky. Can I just have a moment of saying I loved that episode so much.
Yeah, it's so
Dave
good.
Warnicky's so great. If you haven't listened to the Onion Pie Murder with Dave Warnicky, please do. It was
so good.
just fantastic.
Yeah, he's such a goddamn pro.
He's a pro.
He's a pro.
A professional. Not
Oh, is that what it stands for?
people,
Okay. Yeah, right.
People use that shortening for something else, but we mean professional. Diggs is stuck in his bed. His foot. Oh no, he's out.
Okay, he's out. I mean, he's not the smartest boy in the world. He gets stuck in his bed sometimes.
He's chasing his tail right now.
He's hilarious.
You nearly got it, babe. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
So I mentioned at the start of that episode that I would be heading to the regional Victorian town of Morwell to cover the verdict in the case that has gripped the nation and made headlines across
And international.
the world.
Yeah.
It's known as the mushroom murder.
Mm-hmm.
So a 50-year-old woman named Erin Patterson is accused and has stood trial for 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder over a fatal beef Wellington meal she served to her her estranged husband's parents and aunt and uncle.
Very bad publicity for beef Wellington.
Or is it great publicity because everyone's talking about beef Wellington now?
Yeah, big beef Wellington.
What I will say, hang on, I must finish the because I can't say that it's legal things if I don't finish saying that, and then we'll get back to the beef Wellington. So it's not disputed that she served them beef Wellington that had a mushroom paste in it as well. She made individual beef Wellingtons. 3 of her lunch guests died and 1 of them very nearly died. That's the attempted murder charge. The prosecution argues that she knowingly and deliberately put death cap mushrooms in that mushroom paste to kill them, and her defence counsel argues that it was a tragedy and a terrible mistake, that she did not know that there were death cap mushrooms in there. So that trial went for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And as of today, which is Sunday the 6th of July, the jury has been deliberating for 6 days with no verdict.
Yeah, and it's so wild as well because they can't do anything in that time.
Yeah, so the jury in this case, this isn't always the case, but in this one, the jury is sequestered during the deliberation process, which means they do not have their phones. They cannot they can't watch free-to-air TV.
Can't listen to their favourite podcast, this one.
Exactly,
yeah.
Which is a real shame for them. But they're going to have a couple of episodes to catch up with afterwards. Yeah. They can't speak to their family, friends. They can't go home.
Yeah.
They're all sequestered in a hotel together.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to talk about the case outside of the deliberation room in the court in Morwell. So that means between the hours of 10:30 a.m. and 4:15 p.m. every day, except for Sunday. Yes, that means including a Saturday, and yes, I was still in Morwell yesterday doing that as well. That's the only time they're allowed to discuss the case. So outside of those hours, they can chat to each other about their lives.
Yeah.
I think they can watch like Netflix and Stan and stuff.
Yeah,
They're just not allowed to watch free-to-air TV.
Yep.
But
just the Queen.
Just,
That's all
exactly.
they can watch. Yeah.
The Queen.
The Queen.
Do you mean
just
the
watching
Crown?
that, the Crown. Yeah, I prefer to call it the Queen.
I was like, you talking about RuPaul's Drag Race?
Just the Queens. That's what I call it.
There is absolutely nothing to be read into the fact that it's taken 6 days of deliberation so far, and who knows how long it will take.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's being said in the room. No one really knows what got discussed.
Yeah.
And all my Hamilton girlies will understand.
Okay.
I've had the room where it happens in my head all week. We don't know. We will never know what's been discussed in that room. There's nothing to be read into it. It's 9 weeks of trial that they're going through all the evidence for. They may not have even got to a point yet where they've said, right, hands up who's thinking guilty. They may just be going through every piece of evidence again. We don't know and we won't know.
Yep.
But it has taken 6 days so far, and they will be heading back to the deliberation room tomorrow on Monday, and I'll be heading back down to Morwell to cover it for my radio job. So, I've been sitting in it's called the overflow room in the court. So the court itself is really small. There's also while the jury's in deliberation, there's no one physically in that room.
Oh, right, okay.
The judge and the prosecution and defence counsel are all in the court.
Oh, okay, right.
Erin Patterson herself is in the cells of the court or of the cop shop next door. And when the jury comes back with a verdict, they ring a buzzer and we get an alert that there is either a question to the judge
Yep.
or a verdict
decision.
comes in,
Yeah.
and about 15 minutes later, everyone will gather in the court, including Ms. Patterson herself, and they'll read out the verdict. But there's, an overflow room because there's so many people from the media there.
Yeah.
We have a room that we can sit in that we can watch the live feed to the court on a TV that's up in that room. I'd love to be able to show you guys what it looks like, but we're not allowed to film or take photos or anything inside that room. But it's been a really, really interesting week. Morwell's about a 2-hour drive from Melbourne. So, 95% of the media there actually probably less, are from Melbourne, because there's people who've come from, there's a BBC crew there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There's crews from 2 different streaming services making documentaries.
Yep.
There's so many people there. But it's been a really interesting thing to be there. I mean, for me, as most of my career has been in TV news reporting, so being out on the road and actually going to cover breaking news and things that are happening at the time at the scene is my bread and butter. But now I'm doing radio, everything's in studio. So getting out to go out and actually be part of this, I'm really, loving being a part of that.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting process because I was a court reporter for many years, but I've never covered a case like this that has been so long sitting in the deliberation room and not knowing anything, and it's outside of Melbourne, and it's been such an interesting time from the media perspective of it. It's all we can do is sit around and speculate amongst each other. Obviously, we're not reporting on any speculation. We've got no idea what's happening. No idea.
And it could be another few weeks. Like, who knows?
Yeah, there's no set time. That's one question I've had a lot, is people asking, is there a limit? Will it get to a certain number of days where the judge goes, right, you've got to say something now?
Yeah.
No, there's no
Because
set time.
the judge did say take your time as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's 9 weeks of evidence to go through.
Yeah.
And if she is found guilty and decides to appeal, the judge, of course, doesn't want there to be anything that he has done in the trial that could be brought up as an appeal. A reason for appeal. So, he's done everything really by the book, of course, as he should, as anyone should in that circumstance. But it's really been gone through with a fine-tooth comb, and it seems like the jury may be doing the same thing.
Yeah, and a lot of waiting around for all the journos at the moment, and everyone just waiting in the overflow room.
It's a really interesting vibe in that room.
It would be.
We all get in there when the court opens in the morning, and the first half of the day is very quiet. Everyone's working, everyone's doing their things, especially the first couple of days. We're all writing our scripts to get, legal approval to make sure if it's a not guilty verdict, this is the script that I'll write. If it's a guilty verdict, this is the script I'll write, all of that. And then as the day goes on, everyone gets a little bit kind of itchy toes, and we're going, well, right, it's 3:30. I don't reckon there's going to be a verdict in the next 45 minutes. People are like playing Uno. The other day, one of the journalists had written a quiz about the case, just to do for the room. We thought he was doing it for his print or online thing. He was like, no, I'm just doing this for the room. So it was like, what did prosecutor Nanette Rogers say when this question was posed? And everyone was going, she said this. And it's really, really interesting. Down there. So
are you worried about going for lunch and stuff? Are there people that are just worried to duck out for a second in case?
No, because the jury stops for a lunch break as well.
Oh, okay,
so
right.
They actually only deliberate for 4.5 hours a day.
Yeah, wow.
So 10:30 until 1, and then a lunch break, and then 2:15 till 4:15, which is wild to me. I feel like, can they not just say, let us go from 8 till 6? Get more said in the day. But no, that's the way
really
it's working. And we will get a 15-minute heads up before a verdict is actually read.
Okay.
That's another thing. The jury can come back and ask questions to the judge at any point. They've not done that. Six days and just nothing, no word.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's so interesting. I'd just be so terrified of just turning my back for a second and then just being just duck down the shops.
Yeah, it's funny. So
I've got a new coat on.
Yeah, exactly.
But you missed everything.
I did. I came out the other day after the lunch break, and one of the reporters from The Age he sat on his glasses and the arm broke.
Oh, I did that the other day.
Oh no.
Well, Diggs did actually. He sat on my glasses. Yeah, I don't know why I took the blame for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Magistrate, I implore you. Yeah.
And I said, there's an OPSM and a Specsavers at the Mid-Valley Shopping Centre. And he goes, how do you know that? You've been here for 2 days. I said, because on my lunch break I went and bought a new T-shirt from Cotton On.
That's so
Thank
good.
you all for noticing my lovely new T-shirt. So, and it's this funny thing. It's like every time you get an email alert, because we'll find out that if there's a question for the judge via an email alert. So every time someone's email goes off, everyone goes, or, the other day 2 of the girls were playing Uno and one of them like had a good hand and she goes like that, and everyone in the overflow room sat up really straight. She goes, "Oh no, sorry, it's not an email.
False alarm. Yeah. Just playing Uno and Snap nonstop. Snap every goddamn time. Oh yeah, I've been refreshing it so much this week. Every hour I'll just refresh it and just see if there's been an update. And it is interesting how many different reports there are. And I'm just doing the ABC, but I'm going. It's so interesting just to look at how many different publications there are non-stop reporting on this and around the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because it is such an odd case.
It is. I think there's elements to it that just spark human interest for some reason. The fact that the accused is a female and a mother, that's less common than a man. It's in a small regional town. Everything about it has really sparked a lot of interest, and we will talk about it, of course, a lot more once there is a verdict, or if there is a strong chance as well there could be no verdict, which is a hung jury. If the jury says there's just 12 of us can't decide, because for murder in Australia it must be unanimous. There are some crimes that a judge can say, I'll accept a majority verdict of 11 to 1. But murder must be unanimous. Yeah. So if they cannot reach a unanimous verdict, there is a chance that they could come back with a hung jury, which means a mistrial, which means then the Office of Public Prosecution has to decide whether they drop the charges or whether they go through the whole trial again with a new jury. Which,
that would be,
I tell you what, I've only been, I've been there to cover the verdict for 6 days. Most of the crews that are there have been there for the 10 weeks, going into the 11th week tomorrow. They're all going, please do not do this trial. Yeah.
We'll have to have the great Rachel Brown on when this is all finished, when there is a verdict, because Rachel does the amazing Mushroom. Is it Mushroom Case Daily?
Yeah,
Mushroom Daily. And it's just fantastic. It's on
podcast.
It's ABC. It's just a fantastic overview each day. I mean, they've had to slow down a bit now
because there's been nothing to say for the last few days. And that's what's been funny for me as well, being up there for my radio job. The first couple of days I was filing radio news reports, every hour, saying, it's been this many hours, a refresher of the case, all of this stuff. But then as the days have gone on, I'm like, well, all you need to say is there's still no verdict. So I've been doing lots of stuff for the radio station's social media and stuff, and doing explainers of what the jury is about and everything. So if you want to follow along with that, Your News Now iHeart is the Instagram. So Your News Now is the a news offset podcast and social media channel for the Australian Radio Network. So you can follow along there.
You'll be going back tomorrow morning.
I'll be back. Yeah. By the time you're listening to this, I'll be either on the road or in Morwell sitting in the
unless you listen to it too early, and then maybe not.
Are you inviting people over here to listen to?
Yeah, we're having a listening party.
Episodes
I invite people over. Go on. Have a listening party.
Why have you never invited me? That's really mean.
You're not invited.
You'll sit around and laugh at me.
Yeah, we do. Why'd you say that for? No, before we get into it today, before we get into the episode today, which is part 2 of Phoebe Handsjuk, I do have something quick I want to say. So I started an Instagram account for Diggs, Missy Diggins Music, and loving it. I'm posting most days. I'm just posting a lovely thing of Diggs with the caption, which I believe is in his voice, which will just be like dis dab. It'll be like just someone's name.
That's this dad.
No, that's my dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dibs dab. Oh,
Dibs dad. Yeah, something like that. And then just been doing that heaps. But I didn't know that it was actually publishing the Instagram post to my personal Facebook automatically. So it looks like I'm saying all of this stuff.
Oh my God, you're posting haha, fun day at park.
And it's a picture of Diggs very badly photoshopped at Hungry Jack's going, Hungry Jabs, yum. And I'm just doing it so much. And so I've had a couple of, after I posted probably 6 of them or something, one of my high school friends reached out and was like, what's with the new...
Okay. Yeah. Are you okay?
You're doing a new voice, a new character? Is this your writing style now? Just really badly spelt. So yes, I've been doing this dab.
This dab.
Every time was so funny. So I had a lot of posts up before I actually realised that, I've been posting every single one to my personal page. Isn't that great?
Oh, and people have been worried about where Paudrey is while I'm in
Oh,
Norwell.
yeah.
She's gone and had a week of sleepovers with my ex-partner, her ex-dad.
Yeah, a biological dad.
Biological father.
Beautiful.
So she is all right, but she's missing her mom.
Oh, beautiful pause. You got to see her yesterday. On the way back, which was really lovely. Well, gee, I think we should probably get into the story for today, but we should do a little recap.
We'll do a quick recap.
Yeah.
If you guys have not listened to last Monday's episode, Phoebe Handsjuk Part 1, this will make no sense and you'll have ruined that episode. So go back and listen to that first. But for everyone who has listened and is just getting back into it, I'm just going to pick up the script where I left off. So Phoebe Handsjuk, a 24-year-old woman from Melbourne, Australia, was in a relationship with a guy called Ant. They were living together. They'd been very on again, off again, quite toxic from what she seems to have told her friends. This relationship was very passionate in both directions. And her body was discovered at the bottom of a garbage chute in her high-rise apartment building. Yeah. So she and Ant lived on the 12th floor. Her body was discovered in the garbage compactor on obviously the ground floor. Her foot was all but severed. Yeah. And it very much appeared that she had made it to the bottom of the garbage chute alive and had died from having bled out.
Yeah.
And so now we are here. It was ruled a suicide or a tragic, terrible accident. But Phoebe's grandfather was a retired homicide detective, and he especially was really pushing to go, well, this needs to be investigated more because this doesn't seem right. Where we left it off last time, he had done a recreation with, like, he'd got the garbage chute remade. And did a recreation to see if this was possible.
And had a friend who was similar to actually see if they could actually fit in it.
Correct. So that's where we left it off. As Phoebe's grandfather continues to push forward and investigate on his own, seeing no one else seems to be, he learns that all the questions he has around how she got into the garbage chute and down are just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
Because the more they learn about the hours leading up to her death and how the initial investigation was handled, the deeper this mystery and tragedy gets.
Wow.
Firstly, there were some really odd things about the way Phoebe left the apartment when she was last seen.
Yep.
Things that should have alerted her partner Ant that something was wrong the second he walked through the door.
Right. Because I remember the maid or someone that said that she was really happy that morning and really like upbeat and everything.
That's right. Yeah. The timeline everyone knew initially was that Phoebe was found after 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Ant had gotten home around 6 p.m. that same night.
Right.
So all was normal in the building because no one had found Phoebe yet when he got home.
Yep.
He didn't learn what had happened to her until closer to 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And that's when he started notifying her family.
Yeah, because she was meant to go to dinner that night and
That's right.
Right. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, they were meant to go for dinner for her dad's birthday.
Yeah.
He'd got home at 6 p.m, found that her keys and stuff were still in the apartment, but she wasn't there. And then he found out at 8 p.m. Now, I haven't even got into yet how he found out. We'll get there. According to the swipe records for the building, so you need a fob to get, like, to swipe in and out of the building. Mm-hmm. So there's documents of who's in and out of the building.
Oh, sure, yeah.
According to the fob records, Ant didn't get home until 6:09 p.m.
Okay, yep.
When he walked into the apartment, he can't remember if the door was locked or unlocked, but when he walked in, he noticed that something was off. He says he saw broken glass on the kitchen floor.
Okay.
A glass on, like, you know, drinking glass on the kitchen counter, and he said it smelled like it was vodka. He sees that Phoebe's handbag and her keys are there, and then he keeps walking into the bedroom to what he calls a shrine on their bed with pictures, photos, and rambling, non-coherent messages written on Post-it notes.
Right, okay. That's bizarre.
Her hair straightener was plugged in and on.
Okay.
Keys out, purse out, straightener on. It looked like she was getting ready to go out.
Yeah,
which, you know, she was meant to be going out for dinner. And there's something else in the apartment that should have been a cause for concern. Ant saw blood.
Oh.
Just a little bit, just speckles. There's not a big pool of blood or anything. But there was a little bit on her computer mouse and the mouse pad. and a bit of blood on the door frame of the actual apartment.
Oh,
door
okay,
as well.
right.
Now, what would you do here if you go into your apartment? Your girlfriend's hair straightener's on and plugged in, so she can't have left that long ago, you would think. Her keys are all there, so she's somewhere in the building, and you see blood on the computer and the door. What would you do?
I'd call the police, or I'd call the family at least to go, has she contacted you, and then contact the police. Like, if a glass is smashed as well, it seems really odd that you just left after that.
Well, Ant does nothing.
Wow.
Not about the blood or the broken glass or the hair straightener or anything. He doesn't do anything. Even after she doesn't come back for a little while, he does nothing. Computer records show that he goes on the computer for a little while. So remember, he got in at 6:09. At 6:51, that's when Phoebe's dad tried calling her phone.
Yep.
And then Ant called him back.
Straight away.
Correct.
Yep.
They talked for about 3.5 minutes, so that's getting them to nearly 7 p.m. That's potentially odd anyway that he's just called the dad. But there's a catch because Ant says Phoebe's phone was actually in the repair shop that day.
Okay.
So he hasn't heard Phoebe's phone ring, seen it's her dad, and called him back. He says it is a complete coincidence that seconds after he calls Phoebe's phone, and then out of the blue for the first time ever in history goes, I think I might call Phoebe's dad.
That's bizarre.
I remember he wasn't calling the dad to say Phoebe's not here. He was just calling him for a chat.
Yeah, yeah. That's weird. And the dad noted that was very odd.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have this 3.5 minute call. The dad gets off the phone and is freaking out a bit because he's ended up saying, wait, where's Phoebe? Why isn't she here? Why isn't she there? While the dad is calling everyone to say, has anyone heard from Phoebe, Ant orders takeaway.
What? Orders takeaway?
Remember they're meant to be going out
Yeah,
for
they're meant to be
dinner
going
with
out
the
for his
dad?
dinner. Yeah.
And he's just
ordered takeaway.
Just apparently just waiting for
Oh,
Phoebe
that's
to come
so
back
weird.
home.
That's bizarre.
You want me to make it even weirder?
Yes.
He gets takeaway for one person from the very Thai restaurant that they're meant to be going to.
No. Oh, that's bizarre. That's so weird.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, this is something very sus about this.
Why are you getting takeaway at
That
all?
same place as well. Yeah.
When you're meant to be going out for dinner? If he thinks she's about to walk back into the apartment any minute and
well,
they're
her
going out
keys
for
are there.
dinner,
It's very likely she's going to be coming back.
takeaway for one person.
That's weird.
Mm.
It's a nice noise. Don't know what that was. Really.
I don't actually know what that
No,
was.
it was nice. Trying new things.
Very often don't listen to myself. I didn't know I'd made that noise until you just said that was a nice noise, and then I looked back and I went,
You heard it too?
Wait,
you heard it too?
A couple of people have written on our Instagram, like when I've posted reels of us from this podcast. Someone wrote the other day, George's crazy laugh lives rent-free in my head. And I was like, and then I listened back to that reel and I have such an awful laugh. So I apologise for the people that hate it because there will be many.
Hey, it's not
and
awful.
Thank you to that wonderful listener and follower who said that you like it.
I was glad you didn't have to pay rent for that laugh.
I'm
Live in
glad.
that would be
exactly.
expensive.
That would be very expensive. All right. The food delivery guy gets to the apartment to drop off Ant's Thai takeaway at around 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time Ant knows what's going on because the food delivery guy calls Ant and says, I can't come into the building, man. There's police everywhere. I can't get into the building. It's all blocked off. And Ant's like, what are you talking about? Hang on, my girlfriend's missing. I wonder if that's anything to do with that.
What? That's such a weird reaction.
Uh-huh. So he goes downstairs, sees all the police, works out what's happening, and that's how he finds out that Phoebe is dead.
Wow. Okay.
So again, he's ordered the takeaway before he knows that Phoebe is dead.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to all this weirdness and what Phoebe's family and other naysayers think this could all mean.
Yep.
But first I'm going to conclude what police investigated on the day.
Okay, sure.
And what her family was told on the day.
Yep.
again, her grandpa, whose name was Lorne, which is such a great name.
Such a cool
Feels
name.
like such an American name.
Yeah,
Lorne.
for detective as well. Lorne is
Yeah.
great.
And yes, he was a retired homicide cop. He's all up in the cop's case with like, what's going on, what's going on. He's going, exactly what time did Phoebe die? Was there anything captured on the CCTV of the building that could explain what happened? What's with the blood in Phoebe's apartment? Where did the broken glass come from? What do her phone and computer records show? When was Phoebe last seen alive? Who last saw her alive? But here's the thing, Samoa. All of those questions I've just posed, the investigation that was conducted could only partially answer one of them.
What?
And that one question that the investigation partially answered was when she was last seen. This, I think, like among everything, is like the most awful and like, what the fuck part of the whole story. They couldn't say the exact time of death because when she was first found by that concierge in the garbage compactor and when police came and everything, you're not going to believe this. Not one person at any point checked to see if Phoebe was still alive.
Oh my God. What? Not even the first person that found her checked.
Nope. The police came. It was immediately ruled this is a death and we've got to conceal the scene. Nobody checked her vital signs.
Wow.
Nobody saw if she was breathing. Nobody saw if she had a pulse. There was actually
That's nuts.
no one checked. No one touched her. Not one person touched her. Paramedics who were called to the scene because there was a 000 call were actually told, and I heard this on a podcast I was listening to and researching this story, one of the paramedics who arrived said that she was not allowed into the room and she said it really upset her because everything they are trained for and also just as
not
humans,
able to do your job as well. Like,
was it's a death. So the paramedics aren't needed. You don't need to go into the room. It's been sectioned off as a crime scene or a scene like an investigation scene.
That's bizarre.
So even a paramedic that arrived was told she was not allowed to touch her.
How horrific.
Isn't that
They
absolutely horrific?
would have found out that she bled out. Like that's
and that's
awful.
The thing,
They
right?
didn't even.
So post-mortem and everything has shown that it is most likely that she did bleed out. We don't know what time she went down that chute. We don't know.
No.
It could have been 5 minutes before the concierge found her, which means she could have potentially still been alive when she was first found. It could have been hours before.
Yeah, and the
We'll get
CCTV
into that
didn't pick
timing.
up. They didn't any release it. Oh, okay.
Hey, see those beautiful horses over there?
Yeah.
Hold them.
Holding them behind, holding digs. Heel.
Heel boy. So literally no one touched her until the person, like the mortician or I don't know what they're really called, took her body away. Now, we do know from the coroner that it probably took 5 to 10 minutes for her to bleed to death because of the
How
extent
horrific.
of her injuries.
It's been the most painful, awful, my God.
And scary.
So scary.
If she was conscious, which it seems she was because the trail of blood, it looked like she'd tried to get herself, she got herself out of the compactor and was maybe trying to get herself to the door. Just so terrifying and the pain you just can't even imagine.
Correct use of the word horrendous here.
Correct word of the use horrendous.
Correct word of the use horrendous?
Yes.
That we'll be laughing about that at the listening party tomorrow morning.
Hey. No. So we have absolutely no idea how long she'd been there because even the fact that no one touched her, so it wasn't even just about checking her vital signs. No one touched to see like if she was cold or warm or anything. Don't know how long she had been there.
Because when you get to a crime scene, don't tamper with evidence,
Correct,
leave it as
of
it is.
course.
But you are meant to check if the person is
would think
you think
so.
so? Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't studied to be a paramedic or police officer, but you think so?
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge the concierge as the first
No,
person who found her
yeah.
because I also would not want to go up to a dead body and touch it. I'm sure some people it's probably fight or flight. Some people that might be their natural reaction.
Yeah,
Others
for sure.
might not be. I'm not begrudging that concierge at all.
The police when they turn up, that's
Honestly. There must have been so much blood there that they've just gone, there's no way she's alive, but for no one to have checked is just So the only thing the investigation was able to say without a doubt is that Phoebe was last seen alive at 11:43 that morning.
Okay, right.
So 7 hours before she was found. So she could have been down there for 7 hours. She could have been down there for 5 minutes. No one knows. We have no way. The reason she was seen alive at that time is there was a fire alarm in her building that went off. It wasn't a real fire. It was like a smoke alarm or something that had gone wrong. And everyone in the building had to evacuate out the front. And she was seen then on the CCTV at the front of the building.
Okay, right.
So she was seen going out at 11:43, and then they were out there for 7 minutes, came back in at 11:50. So sorry, I lied. The last time she was seen alive was 11:50.
Okay.
She's seen on CCTV going back inside. She's got their dog with her, and she seems fine.
Right.
You know, she doesn't. There's nothing untoward or out of the ordinary for her on the CCTV there. So all we know is that she died sometime between noon and 7 p.m. There is no smaller window than that.
Yeah.
No idea. So you might be asking, you literally did already ask if there was any other footage from the building. Yeah. Lorne also asks that, and it turns out, yes, there are other cameras in the building. But they get wiped and recorded over every couple of days.
Fuck.
And the police didn't check them the first day.
Oh, my God. So that's wild. What's going on here?
It was recorded over. It had been treated as a suicide or an accident.
Yeah.
Immediately. From day one. Not even from day one. It seems like from the opening minutes.
Yep. You just think you get all that stuff anyway. Like
exactly.
Collect all the evidence, make sure, double check. Yeah,
Wouldn't
that's nuts.
You?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? So, no one even collected the bare minimum. They didn't even collect CCTV to make sure. They've gone, well, there's no way this is a crime of any sort. This woman's at the bottom of a garbage chute.
Even if it was a suicide, you'd want to check the CCTV to be like, how did she get in there? Like, what, the walking down?
Even for someone's time of death. Yeah. For a bit of closure for their family or something.
Yeah.
It seems bizarre. Even her computer records and phone records and everything weren't looked at for months.
Wow.
And when they finally did get them, it showed that all of her emails had been deleted at some point, and there's no way of knowing when they were deleted, or, of course, then who deleted them or when. And there's no way of knowing what they said.
God.
Now, the blood in the apartment. They tested that little bit that was on the door and confirmed it was Phoebe's blood.
Okay.
But they never tested the blood on the mouse pad or the mouse of the computer.
It's insane.
They just didn't think that was important, so they never tested it. It seems super weird because remember also there was glass on the floor.
Yeah,
so you're thinking, she's dropped a glass, she's got a cut on her hand. I'm just going to go sit down on my computer for a while.
Just calmly and everything,
And then if it wasn't hers,
left it there?
Then is that not a thing as well? Because also remember, Ant went on the computer.
He went on the computer after that? Yeah.
After he got home.
After I got home. Yeah.
So why was there blood on the mouse?
Yeah.
It was never tested. We don't know if it was Phoebe's. One of the theories that kind of came up was that the broken glass, she dropped a glass, broken it, cut her hand a bit while cleaning it up, and then maybe that's why she went to the garbage chute to get rid of the broken glass, put it down the garbage chute.
Yep.
Maybe something's then gone wrong. Maybe she's had a moment because of the still knocks or, because of her mental health. She's had a moment where she's gone, I'm going down the chute after the glass. Well, do you think they could have tested this theory by checking if there was broken glass in the garbage chute around her?
Of course they could have.
Do you think they did?
No.
They did not check any of the rubbish bags in that chute. They did not check any of the rubbish. They did not see what was in the garbage chute around her, what was the last thing that had been put in or anything.
It's infuriating.
To even understand maybe what if she'd gone to the garbage chute with rubbish, if there was anything from her house. So what do we do here? What's the next step, would you say?
I would say after that they're going to have to be questioning everyone because, it's not like they've got lots of evidence, so now they need to start questioning everyone.
And, of course, they had spoken to Ant, who was last person to see her, everything. After that, what can they do? It was just left here for a long time. It was ruled a suicide or a terrible accident, and police said, that's that. Unfortunately, here's your death certificate. Now go and move on as best you can.
It just doesn't sound like at any point anyone could have believed that was a terrible accident because it's impossible really for her to climb in that chute.
Well, in a legal sense, it's not impossible.
Right.
We saw the girl do it in the recreation. It seems impossible.
Yeah.
It seems highly, 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 highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're saying it's not impossible because that's what they ruled happened. Phoebe's family was not having this, particularly her grandpa,
Of course.
King Lorne. They kept pushing and pushing, and in 2014, so 4 years later, they were finally granted a formal investigation and inquest into her death.
Good.
And that inquest is the reason I know any of these facts to be able to tell you today.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it's a suicide or an accident. There's no details about CCTV cameras or blood in the apartment or anything released. This has all come from the inquest. So I know this sounds back and forth. Remember at the very start I said I'm going to tell you chronologically in terms of what the family knew as it happened. Anyway, that entire inquest and investigation was, of course, a horrible and really grueling process for the family. But they're thinking, at least we're going to get some answers and get to the bottom of this. It's worth going through all these awful details. But, of course, as with everything with this case, it wasn't that simple. Because in a very strange and incredibly rare happening, there's one report from the coroner and another from the counsel assisting the coroner. So an inquest, I actually think this is different in America, and I don't know about coronial investigations in America enough to be able to say why, but I do believe it is different. But in Australia, a coroner's inquest, it's held in a court. It's obviously the coroner is the person presiding over it.
Yep.
It is very different to like a criminal investigation. It's not two people presenting their sides. It is the facts being laid out on the table.
Yep.
If people are called to give evidence, they have to do so.
Okay, right.
And it is not, you don't like, there's not always criminal charges laid because of that. The point of a coronial inquest and investigation is for a coroner to determine how someone died and or if they advise for criminal charges to be laid.
Yeah, okay,
so
sure.
So in this case, what they were thinking, what the family was hoping for and thinking is they'll find that this wasn't suicide or an accident, so they'll have to open a criminal investigation.
Yes, okay, got it, yep.
The coroner is the person who makes the decision on all of that. The counsel is in COUNSEL. Assisting the coroner is basically like a second set of eyes across everything. You know, there's not just ever, one, even like in the Erin Patterson case, there's not just the prosecutor.
Yeah,
there's the
sure.
counsel, there's a table of people, so everyone's listening to everything and making sure they've got the information. They see and hear everything the same thing as the coroner does, and their report gives the formal recommendation to the coroner of how they think the coroner should rule. Well, in this case of Phoebe Handsjuk's death, the assisting counsel's report said basically something's up. I don't know what it is, but we should at least say that the death is undetermined. We should rule that the cause of death is, or not the cause, but the reason for the death is undetermined. But the coroner overrides this and says, nope, it's exactly what we said in the beginning. It's a tragic freak accident. Now, the coroner says it's not a cut and dry suicide, but it is some kind of freak accident.
Right, okay. They're just convinced that they were right the first time.
Yeah, the coroner, even though the counsel assisting the coroner said, we have to rule that it's undetermined and that we should open investigation, the coroner goes, nope, I disagree.
Wow, completely overrides it. That's so strange.
Right? Both reports spent a lot of time talking to Phoebe's psychologist, who did say that in the time leading up to her death, she was the psychologist said she was the most worried about Phoebe that she had been.
Okay, right.
And that Phoebe had made some comments that were the closest she'd ever come to admitting suicidal ideation.
Wow. Okay, right.
So maybe this is what swayed the coroner, is that this psychologist's report saying, I was the most worried about Phoebe I've been. So maybe that's what swayed the coroner because, he could look at this and say she wasn't in a good place. So she's on this cocktail of alcohol and sleeping pills and something's gone awry. But to me, there's still the fact that it just doesn't seem physically possible, like you say, and I just can't fathom how that wasn't taken way more into it.
Yeah.
Because remember, and this is a recap from last week as well, it's not argued that she definitely went down feet first.
Yes.
She didn't go down head first because of the way that was her foot that was broken and all the damage. There was no damage to her head or her hands. So she definitely went down feet first. to get into one of those garbage chutes, like if you were going to be putting yourself in there, whether that's on purpose or, you know, while you're hallucinating or something on still knots, you're going down head first. Like that's just that's the only way I can think you would, because you'd climb in that way and let your feet follow you.
Yeah,
just
feet
stand
first
up into it. It's
sense.
a meter off the ground.
Yeah,
remember? It's just anyway. We've been through all of that. Now this is where the theories really come into play, because realistically, if there was someone else involved, you'd think it would be Ant, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So you'd think if coroner's going to go, we need to look into this more, like the first person you'd be looking into would be Ant.
For sure.
Well, there's something I've not told you about Ant, Sammy Blake Peterson. Ant's father was a retired Supreme Court judge.
Oh, my God.
And his stepmother is a current county court judge.
Oh, my God. Holy hell. Okay. You blew this case wide open.
Now, I am not making any allegations here of my own.
Sorry, you didn't blow this case wide open
I didn't. I am stating the fact that this investigation... Sorry, it's not a fact that the investigation seems odd. It is my opinion that this investigation seems odd. It is a fact that the coroner was given advice to open an investigation and the coroner overruled that advice and said, no, this is an accident. It does not need to be investigated. And it is a fact that Phoebe's boyfriend of the time, his dad, was a retired Supreme Court judge in the state of Victoria where this incident took place, and his stepmother was a current sitting county court judge.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. It is very important to note here that Ant has never been named a person of interest.
Wow.
He was never looked at as a suspect, not then and not now, because officially, again, Phoebe's death was and still is considered either suicide or an accident. So it's very, very important to know.
Right,
note that.
He was never a suspect.
He was never a suspect, never named as a person of interest even.
Wow.
But I tell you what, Sammy, this guy has some really bad bloody luck. His girlfriend dies in this absolute freak, bizarre, never before heard of type of accident in the most tragic of circumstances. But he somehow manages to push through and go on with his life as, you know, he had no other choice.
Yeah.
That's what he had to do. He dated, he married, he divorced, he dated some more. And then something happened in June 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Then 51-year-old Ant was dating 25-year-old Bailey Schneider, who was a model and a dental assistant. She lived at home with her parents but spent a lot of time with Ant. So they weren't living together, but they were dating. On a Friday night in June 2018, she had gone to a party after work. It was at the house of one of Ant's friends, but Ant wasn't at the party.
Okay.
And she was out all night. She got home around 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, crossed paths with her parents. They were leaving for the day and they noticed that she was on the phone and seemed to be in an argument.
Mm-hmm.
She got off the phone. She told her mum she and Ant had broken up.
Okay.
Then later that day, when Bailey's parents got home, they found Bailey slumped on the kitchen floor with a cord around her neck.
Oh, my God.
She was dead.
Holy shit.
In an eerily similar fashion to Phoebe Handsjuk, police quickly rule her death as suicide.
Oh, my God.
They don't collect any evidence. They don't collect her phone.
What is going on?
It took months of her parents pressing before police finally took her phone. Months of the parents and Bailey's family screaming this isn't right, and the media was all over it.
Wow.
This is the ex-girlfriend of a man whose former girlfriend died under tragic circumstances and bizarre circumstances. Again, in the case of Bailey Schneider, it took months of her parents pressing before the authorities finally finally granted an inquest. That was granted in 2019.
Wow.
And in June 2020, exactly 2 years after Bailey Schneider died, a coroner ruled Bailey committed suicide.
Holy hell. Oh, my God. What is going on?
Phoebe Handsjuk's death has been looked at on multiple true crime shows. On 60 Minutes, which I brought up in the first part of the episode. That's where they did the recreation. And there is a brilliant in-depth podcast that we again brought up last time called Phoebe's Fall. It's by The Age Australia. It's a brilliant podcast. It goes really in-depth into everything that happened here. But despite all of this, it has never been reopened or re-examined. The official word on Phoebe Handsjuk's death is that it was a terrible, tragic accident. And that's the story of Phoebe Handsjuk.
I just don't understand it all. That is so awful. Like, what a brutal way to die. And just that there are so many errors in that. There is so much that could have helped solve what, if there was something that really did occur
by the letter
there.
of the law, there's nothing to solve. It's been solved. That's how our legal system works. A coroner has ruled that it was a freak accident. That's what it is by the letter of the law. Phoebe's family and friends have never accepted that.
No.
They think that there was someone else involved, or at least there is someone else who knows something about it.
Yeah.
Bailey Schneider's death was officially ruled a suicide, that she had choked herself with this cord. And I obviously haven't gone into that death in detail. But you can look that one up if you will. It is just a horrible, horrible coincidence.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It was her boyfriend is the same person who was Phoebe Handsjuk's boyfriend.
God. Gee, thank you for telling me that story.
Of the law, it is a horrible coincidence.
It is a horrible coincidence, yeah. Gee, thank you for telling that story. That is absolutely fascinating. I have heard of Phoebe's Fall before, and I do need to.
You haven't listened
No, I
to
haven't.
it? Oh,
I haven't.
It's a really
I kind of heard a
podcast.
few details of this story, but I hadn't heard the full thing, and that's just horrific. There is so much in that.
I've never been able to look at a garbage chute without thinking
No.
of poor Phoebe. We'll put up more photos of her as well. She's such a beautiful woman, and she had her troubles, but she had so much life ahead of her.
Yeah.
And she was artistic and creative, and her friends and family just adored her and loved her and say the most beautiful things about her. And it is such a tragic loss of life, no matter what happened.
Yeah.
It is certainly incredibly frustrating to feel like it has not been investigated to its full extent.
Yeah. It feels like there's just so many missteps along the way that it just seems so wild, and that many things could go wrong in a case. But that's
after. Yeah, I won't say anymore because it's not an open investigation. There is no investigation, but no one has been ever treated as a suspect or anything because there's no crime.
Yeah.
By the letter of the law, there is no crime that has been committed. However, we've put it on Not Another Crime podcast because some people believe there was a crime.
Yeah.
And I'll very carefully leave it at that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, G, for telling me a story this week. And we are going to go to the mailbag section. Hey, G, are you ready for a couple of internet letters and voicemails today from our wonderful, wonderful listeners?
Yes, please.
Yep.
They make me happy on the inside.
Well, this one comes from Alan, and we want to say, hey, thanks for leaving us a voicemail.
Are you saying Alan or Ellen?
Ellen.
Thank you.
Hi, Georgia and Sammy. My name is Ellen, and I love the pod, first of all.
Thank you.
I've been listening to it since the start, and I actually have a Paudry peeve to share with you, and I feel like it's a little bit of a safe space considering that Georgia is very particular about her grammar, but I've noticed this trend on social media, and it could be a lot of my friends. I shouldn't laugh. Anyway, where people are writing his instead of he's, as in HIS instead of
HE''S.
Oh, Ellen, she cut out.
Oh, no.
I don't know if you're coming back. It's
Wait,
still
was that
going.
just because your phone switched off?
peeve. So, anyway, I enjoy the pod and keep it up, and I look forward to listening to it next week.
Oh,
You got to
thank
do
Ellen.
it again.
You got to do it again.
You
But
gotta do it again.
I think I know what she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
saying. People say, like, he's annoying me today, but they'll write
he's annoying me today. Yeah, right. Yeah, that is annoying. Yeah, that is a Paudry peeve. That is
That's
a real
big
Paudry peeve. Yeah,
Did you see my reaction when she said, I've got a Paudry peeve?
Yeah.
In my
You freaked
head,
out a
I
little bit.
thought she was upset with Paudry.
And you're going to get really defensive.
She would never do anything wrong.
You leave her
Ellen,
alone.
that's a great one. That is a huge one.
Yeah. You would get really annoyed by that.
Of course I would.
Yeah.
Do I even need to bother saying, obviously, the your and your?
Oh, yeah. And there and there.
Oh, and there.
And there. And they are.
And they are.
And they are. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the goddamn speak pipe cutting out like that. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to this one. This one comes from Amy, and hopefully we don't have any technical things like that again. What the hell? Hey, Amy. What did you say?
Hi, Georgia. Hi, Sammy. Amy from Canberra here. Dropping in to send you all the love and thank you for your wonderful podcast. My journey to finding you, I was a long-time listener to Australian True Crime, another crime podcast.
Oh, yeah.
They featured an episode of Do Go On, which I fell in love with and listened to everything, where, of course, I met Sammy P, who is hilarious.
Yeah.
So I started listening to all Sammy P stuff, starting with You Two Drunk Aunties, where he mentioned not another crime podcast. So here I am. I've done the true crime full circle.
Oh.
I want to thank your podcast for helping me through one of the hardest hikes I have ever been on. I was absolutely destroyed, but at least I had some very interesting and caringly told podcast to listen to on my way. So thank you very much, and please keep up all the good work. I need so many more episodes, and hopefully one day.
Oh, cut out.
No, it's got to be something with your phone.
Much love, bye.
No, that must be something wrong.
No, it's a speak pipe. It must be a speak pipe glitch. But
Amy, sorry.
Amy, it was so good though. Thank you for leaving us that. We love that. Any way that you find us, we love that.
For speak piping us while you were on. Sounds like another very difficult hike. Well done, you. We
That's
just sit here
amazing.
and drink jams.
Yeah.
You're hiking.
Yeah, it's actually very impressive. You are better than us. But we love it when you leave us voicemails. We call them speak pipes. The link is below
And we
if
love
you
it
want to
when
read
you
that.
leave reviews. I haven't read out a review for a while.
yeah,
and this is
yeah.
always dangerous to do because I'm just going to go look at them live and see what
Look at them live.
I'm looking at it live.
Look at them live. But we are getting so many wonderful emails as well. So if you want to write in, sammy@justanothercompany.com.au. You can also follow us on the Instagram.com and the TikTok.com and watch us on YouTube as well. All of those links are down below in the show notes.
All right, I've got the latest review we have is from re_re.
Oh, great.
Love the banter, 5 stars. This really is unlike any other crime pod. Don't skip the pre-show banter because it is seriously laugh out loud.
Oh, great. I love that.
This one is from Ashles. Love it, 5 stars. Easy listening, great singing if Hamilton references occur.
And they always
There's
do.
been one this
There has,
episode
absolutely.
already. And horrendous stories interspersed with horrendous dad jokes. I've only listened to 3 episodes so far, so this may not be applicable for all episodes. I'll keep you posted. That's really embarrassing that she's listened to 3 episodes and said great singing when Hamilton references.
That's so funny.
It happens every episode.
Just all episodes. That's so funny.
All right, one more. This is from Claire-Your Newest, which makes me think maybe there is a limit on characters.
Yeah. Your newest.
If I could give it more than 5 stars, I would. 5 stars. Hi, Sammy and G Love. I have emailed, left a speak pipe, and now for the trifecta, well-deserved 5-star review. Both of you have such a beautiful ability to make us as listeners feel horrified, happy, and content after every episode. I can't stop listening and re-listening and bullying all my friends into listening to your horrendous podcast. Lots of love to you two and your perfect little fur babies, Paudry and Diggs. Thank you, Claire.
Oh, thank you, Claire. If you want to leave us a 5-star rating, 5-star review, heck, we would love that.
No, not if they want to. They must.
If you must leave us a 5-star rating, 5-star review, because that helps us get the podcast out there to more people, G-Love.
That's right.
And the more you get it out there, the more we can do. So share it with a friend.
If I end up in Morwell for the rest of this week, do you think you can, you want to drive up after work one night and we can record an episode there?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Wouldn't
we could
that be
definitely do
good?
that. That'd be great. Yeah.
Hey, we've got to do Paudry Peeves.
Oh, we do Paudry Peeves.
Have you got one for me today?
Not yet, but I'm going to think about it right now.
All right. My Paudry peeve for today is the word valet.
Okay.
I don't know why. I hate it so
Why?
much.
Why do you hate valet?
Just say rest in pieces.
Yeah.
Say R.I.P.
Rest in pieces, is that what you said? You did. Rest in pieces. Well, don't say that. Don't say rest in pieces. God, I hate valet. I'd rather say rest in pieces. No, you wouldn't. Don't say valet, say rest in pieces, as is grammatically correct. Is it, G-Love? Is it? Why you say is it so much then? Rest in pieces.
I didn't realize that. Oh my God. Sorry.
Can I say my pet peeve? I hate it when people say rest in pieces.
Awful.
Especially at a funeral. It's horrible when you say it at a funeral. May they rest in pieces. What?
Oh God, my tummy hurts. I mean, rest in peace. I'm so sorry.
You can finish your. You hate it, but you hate it when they say valet.
I hate valet. I just hate when.
Do you hate veil more? What if someone said veil?
Yes.
Yeah, it's even worse.
That's actually quite funny though. If someone does that, it's
Veil.
funny when people say the wrong thing accidentally.
Not to you.
No, valet. I just hate. It's like always in a news report about a celebrity who has died.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it always and another Porter peeve actually that comes into this is the trope of he died surrounded by family and friends.
Oh,
It's just a trope.
Yeah.
And but yeah, when they say, for instance, Matthew Perry when he died, the obituary on the TV, and then at the end it goes back to the newsreader and they go, valet Matthew Perry.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know why I hate it.
my friend once overheard a conversation, and it was so funny. What was the person saying? They're going, "Oh, he died in the water. He died out at sea, and he's an older man, and he always loved the sea, and he died, in the sea, died doing what he loved." And the other person went, "What, drowning?
Drowning. That's awful.
What, drowning? He died doing what he loved. What, drowning?"
I do always think that when people say
It's
they
such a
died doing what
confusing
they
thing
love.
to say.
Like, say if someone's died in like a horrific skydiving accident.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
really loved skydiving. He died doing what he loved. I'm pretty sure
Not the death bit.
realizing that the parachute
Yeah.
wasn't going off is not
Doing
I
what
don't
they loved.
know.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I saw a great skydiving video this morning
Okay.
on Instagram.
Oh, I saw a great skydiving video today on my Instagram.
did.
That's your algorithm.
I did. The person that, as they jumped out of the plane, and obviously there's a camera on them,
Yeah.
and they were singing or
Yeah, you went with them.
I was with them. I just saw it this morning. And they were miming all the words like perfectly in time to Defying Gravity from Wicked.
Oh, you would have loved that. That's
so
great.
If I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. And she's free falling through the sky.
Yeah.
Amazing.
My pet peeve for this, my Paudry peeve, and it's not really a set thing. It's not really a peeve. Microwaves are my thing at the moment. Microwaves are always different.
Okay. So not
And
microwaves in general.
Microwaves in
there's-
general.
You just don't you're
I don't like the
anti-microwave.
settings. I don't like the settings on different microwaves. I always get
Yeah.
really confused by them, and I end up doing something where it's like I'm kind of defrosting something and I don't mean to be. And it's all these different settings that it gets really
no one
confusing when
uses.
no one
you know
uses.
Let's be honest.
Let's be real right now.
Let's be real right
I'm sitting
now.
backwards on my chair.
For a minute.
Yeah,
You are.
let's be real.
No, I didn't want to bring that up the whole episode, but now you've brought it up.
I'm being real.
Let's be real. You're using a microwave.
Microwave.
Jesus.
Using a microwave.
Microwave. If you are defrosting something that has been frozen, that's what defrosting means. Jesus, I'm having a good one today.
Had a big week.
I've had a big week. I needed some rest before I go back tomorrow. You are putting it in for 2 minutes.
Yep.
Checking, putting it in for 2 minutes more,
Yeah,
checking
yeah.
until it's warm, right?
Yep.
If you are reheating something in the fridge, you're putting it in for 2 minutes.
Yep.
If you are doing a frozen lean cuisine or healthy choice meal
Yeah,
from
it's
the
actually
freezer
pronounced
section.
Leanne cuisine for sure. Say her name. It's Leanne. Say her name.
Why is that so funny?
Say her name.
I've lost it today. I need to go. Anyway, you read the instructions.
Anyway,
on the box
you
and
read the
don't know.
instructions on
You
the box.
don't need the settings that say like P2,
No.
2 kilogram defrost meat.
I'll be honest, Leanne's done the heavy lifting. We need to go. Thank you to Oliver Clark, who I had a beautiful drink with last night, and I brought up the Winnebago man again.
What did he say? Did you tell him our listeners are obsessed with our
He goes, I had no idea what I was talking about. I go,
no
it's very clear. Thank you to the wonderful Oliver Clark for doing the theme music, and thank you to Tamsin Hayes for doing the artwork. As always, give us a follow. We love hearing from you. Please share it with a friend. And in the words of Leanne, that's my favourite cuisine. See you next week, everybody. Bye.